the starting lineup. So at least 26 cars, possibly 28, and this the start of the 11th season of this remarkable championship with amazing support from Porsche Motorsport North America and Yokohama Tires. It's a great program.
Jeremy Shaw is with Greg Kramer and me, John Hindorf, in the booth for this. It's a couple of years, Jeremy, since you and I did the full season of this. The quantity and quality has not diminished one iota since you and I were watching this. Elliott Skier, a real force to be reckoned with, has come up through the junior ranks and now steps into a global formula, and that's the thing about this Porsche. Call it, you know, here we call it the Porsche GT3 Challenge USA. It could be Carrera Cup. It's so similar even to the Super Cup cars now around the world. You can drive one of these cars in so many different championships.
Yeah, it's fabulous, isn't it? And yeah, all of the drivers, number one, enjoy driving these cars. It's relatively affordable, and if your heart desires, you can race it pretty much anywhere in the world. It's very cool. We're going to see some great racing this afternoon, there's no question about it. It's a good field of cars, a lot of talented drivers here, several youngsters in there as well, a really good mix of veterans and newcomers.
Without doubt, and the two differences in the classes is basically the age of the cars. The Platinum category, the 2014-2015, newer, the 991 platform GT3 Cup car. The Gold category, the 2010 to 2013 variants. It's just the newer car, a little bit more aggressive in aero, a little bit wider stance, a little bit more mechanical grip, a little more aggressive downforce package. And one of the big things is it has paddle shift. The other is just sequential. The lights are out on the pace car, John. We are ready to go racing here at Sebring.
Heart rate's rising along with the revs here as the guys come towards the line. The green flag is in the air and we are racing. And the Porsche stream across the line. Got to love the sound of that flat six engine. That hasn't changed for the last 52 years. And straight away the pole man, Elliott Skier, drops in, cuts across Jesse Lazare and makes sure that he holds on to the point as he comes through the first couple of corners. All kinds of weird and wonderful lines being taken through turn two that, frankly, in 16 years of coming here, I've not seen before, Greg.
Yeah, it was a little bit different, wasn't it? But everybody pretty much, at least in that top group of 6 or 7, just sort of fell in line astern, had, you know, maybe designs here and there. Although now the number 15 of Casey Coleman going to try a run at the exit of turn 6 down into turn 7. Had a good head of steam, little feint to the right there. That was in reaction by the 21 of Jesse Lazare. And Coleman realizes early in this 45-minute race, don't do anything silly now. But all of that little juking and jiving has allowed Elliott Skier to just stretch that margin a bit.
Yeah. Good point. He's happy days for Elliott Skier at the moment. Looks back and he sees, what, half a dozen cars lengths of nothing behind him.
Yeah, and Jesse Lazare for Kelly Moss Motorsports, he's been very much at the front of this field yesterday in practice and this morning qualifying as well. But he for me came into this race as the favourite. But at the moment he's been shown the way by Elliott Skier, the young man from based out of California. Made a great start there, and here he is out in front in that car number 14.
Great lines through that double apex left-hander, one of my favorite complexes here. Just so quick through there, then down through the gearbox a bit into that much tighter right-hand turn 15, and then this little bob and weave through turn 16 and onto that long almond straight. That white car with the yellow stripes, that's Marco Cironi. It looked like he had a little bit of a run on Mike Shine.
And Mike didn't have the worst run through those corners either onto the back straight. Casey Coleman ahead of them. So Skier, Lazare, Coleman, Shine, Cironi. And then Williams, Long, Catania, Creel and Jeff Mosing for the top 10. And here's the opportunity round the outside in 17. I think not, Marco. Drop back in. That's a smart move at this part of the race.
I wonder if he was thinking maybe just diamond the corner up, but you get into those bumps and suddenly they control your exit, not so much you, and he realized what was unfolding. But they've been able to gap David Williams, that gap from 5th to 6th now, about 5-6 car lengths starting to build. Right behind him then is Andrew Long, Jeremy.
Yeah, and must have been some sort of a problem there for the 00 car of Jay Patel. He started in the 11th position and comes past the end of the first lap right at the back. So problem for Jay Patel.
Quick spin, we're getting a report.
Yeah, right, must have been somewhere. So he will rejoin at the back, so he's got to work his way back through the field. But in the meantime, it's Elliott Skier with a gap of a second or so over the pursuing Jesse Lazaire. Right behind him is Casey Coolman and Michael Shine and Marco Cironi.
Now that Lazaire and Coleman, Shine, Cironi et al. Have settled down a little bit, it looks like they've reeled Elliott back in just a bit, not a ton, but by a little bit. That margin definitely is down maybe by half over what it was. And I think they realized, don't get into this early battling yet. Get there, be close. And keep in mind, we've been talking, John, all day now about the heat and how slippery this track is. These Yokohama tires are superb, but you still have to manage them just a little bit. And if you run them too hard early, even though they'll come back, if you damage them a little bit in these slippery conditions, you're just going to be a sitting duck. So I think everybody's really looking at it right now. Calm it down a little bit, get a few laps in, let the fuel burn off, then let's see what we've got.
The other thing that, if I know anything about these cars, and I've watched them racing on several different continents and did the British Series for quite a while, as a team, you have to make a decision whether you're going to set your car up to be fast at the beginning of the race or fast at the end of the race, because there's no tyre manufacturer in the world, not even Yokohama, who can make a tyre that will be exactly consistent throughout the race on these cars. There's a real big blocking manoeuvre down at the end of the back straight. That was very, very defensive indeed as they came down towards us that time. Looked like there was maybe a little run going on there, Greg, but repelled. Borders were repelled there.
Yes, Mr. Williams kind of dissuaded him a little bit there, and that was Andrew Long in that brilliant blue number 47. Those are the fall line colors. He was close, just could not stick it in there before you saw Williams start to make that move.
Yeah, David Williams there in car number 37, that was defending that position into turn 17. He had his career best starting position for this race. Started in the 6th place for David Williams. That's a fine effort by him. And the youngster there in car number 47, Andrew Long, struggling now to try and find a way past him.
Jeremy Shaw, along with Greg Kramer and me, John Hindhaugh, as we're watching the opening salvos then of the 2015 Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama. Alex Gay doing exactly what he needs to do, hitting his marks, turning through the corners. Meanwhile, the battles are all behind him, and he'll be very happy that that is the case. Always nice to have a good battle, but any driver will tell you, if I can drive off into the distance, disappear and never have to battle with anyone, that's, you get the same amount of points, Jeremy, as if you've, fought your way through from 20th position. Yeah,
and we talked about it earlier on today and before the start of the race. These guys are going to look after their tyres. It's a long race this afternoon. It's a 45-minute race, so they've got to take care of these Yokohama tyres. They are very durable. They do last well, but time management in this heat and this humidity this afternoon, you're going to have to make sure you don't push too hard and get them, extract too much out of these Yokohama tires.
Look there, that bright yellow car, the big M on it is Mosing Motor Cars. That is your Gold and Gold Masters leader, Jeff Mosing, who has worked his way around Santiago Creel in a platinum car and moved up into the 9th spot. He has been one of the very big guns. Here comes Andrew Long. This time, so close. He just wasn't quite there, and at that point, that wasn't defensive. David just looked in his mirror, said, nope, you're not there, mate, and just shut the door on him, and that's okay. Long, both of them drifting way wide at the exit of 17. This is going to be a great battle.
Down towards turn 1 then, and these two are the guys who were providing the entertainment at the moment as they're battling down the field. But this is excellent stuff, as we've come to expect in this championship. David Williams and Andrew Long go through turn 1, absolutely nothing between them. It looks at the moment as though the second of those two blue Porsches, Andrew Long's 47 car behind the 37, just maybe leaning on it a little bit more. He's tightening the corners up, just pinching the exits of the corners, trying to find a way through, trying to show the nose of his car to the man ahead of him. Now, what that's going to do to his chances later on. Meanwhile, further up the field,
this is the battle for the lead, and it has hotted up big time. Elliott Skier now looks in his mirrors and sees nothing but that white hood of that Kelly Moss garage entry right in his mirrors. They have closed that gap up, and more importantly, I think he's brought Casey Coleman there comes Coleman, not too far adrift either. So this battle for the lead is starting to shape up in pretty good order.
It is, isn't it? Jesse Lazaire here, we talked about him before. He's made a switch of teams, now joining the vastly experienced Kelly Moss organization for this race. And he is now really he puts a wheel onto the dirt on the exit there of turn 12, and he is beginning to really put the pressure on Elliott Skier for the battle of the lead in this race.
Did see Elliott make a mistake, and we haven't got access to all of his lap times, but he certainly, his last lap was fine, and he's done his best times at 2:09.0 and against a 2:09.008 for Jesse, who sits in behind him.
Yeah, Jesse's got, he's got a year of experience now. He's made his debut here 1 year ago. He had a good run in that first race 1 year ago, qualified in 11th place, moving himself up to the 4th position by the end of that race. And then he was a bit inconsistent through the year, certainly, Jesse. I mean, he was super fast on occasion, not so quick on other occasions. That is the thing that he needed to work on most over the winter. And with that Kelly Moss organisation behind him, he's got a great opportunity now.
He might take an opportunity down into turn 1, shows the nose, straight lines to the apex. Now, will Elliott Skier try and counter and come back underneath? The whole move here is, where does Jesse put that car on the exit? I think, for a minute there, I thought Elliott might try and make the counter move, but he couldn't do it. And boy, just some absolutely great racing. And you're right. I mean, Jesse last year, when he got to the one track that he had track experience on, he won going away in a big win up at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. So this one's good. But check this out, gentlemen. We were looking at lap times here. The top 5 guys, look at their best times. 2:09.01 for Skier, a 2:08.7 just now for Lazar, a 2:08.8 for Coleman, a 2:09.2 for Shine, and a 2:09 flat for Chironi. This group of 5, you couldn't find a smaller blanket to throw over.
No, the question now is that going to change? Now Jesse Lazar's got himself into the lead of this race.
Yep.
If he can focus and do what he knows he can do, maybe now he can put some daylight between himself and his pursuers.
For the moment at least, Elliott Skier just hanging on in there in second place. There's a bit of a gap, maybe 2 or 3 cars lengths, but that's all. But he's going to come under pressure from Casey Kuhlman in just a few moments' time, and then he's in really the worst position of anybody that can be, because he's trying to chase down the guy in front while keep the bloke behind him as well. But it's not a case of Jesse disappearing into the distance at the moment, but my goodness, that 21 car does look very strong.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I think for Elliott right now, don't try and run Jesse Lazar down. Go to school on Jesse Lazar. He's a rookie. He's got test laps. He's got fast times, but now we're racing. Follow Jesse, stay with him, don't try and race him, learn from that experience that Jesse has with a year in these cars.
Yeah, go to school on a 17-year-old, because that's what Jesse Lazar is.
That's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the first time that teenagers have won races in this championship. It's been the springboard here in the United States for a number of careers, Jeremy, and a lot of people burst onto the scene here, because if you can drive these GT cars, because let's be honest, you could take these cars and put them into any amount of endurance races around the world. Many people do. I've seen them at Dubai and Bathurst recently, and at Mugello at the weekend. There was a whole class for these cars in the 4+8 hour race. If you can drive these cars, if you can drive them well over 45 minutes, that's about a race stint, and that's great news for young drivers.
It really is. And Madison Snow, we've seen now make some noise in the Tudor United Sports Car Championship. Sean Johnston, a champion over here a couple of years ago, doing some good work in Europe and got some more opportunities over there. Conor De Filippi, well, he hasn't driven in this series, but he's driving these cars in Europe as well. So yeah, there are lots of opportunities for youngsters who can shine in this championship.
Boy, 2 good battles here. That one for a 6, David Williams, that lead number 37 in your frame, chased hard again by the 47 of Andrew Long, and their bits of cut and thrust have allowed that orange and white 26 NGT Porsche of Lucas Catania and the number 60 of Santiago Creel, another Wright Motorsports car. We've got a 4-car battle shaping up now for the 6th spot, and Creel joining this battle. Now I'll let you know that he and now Bill Pelichowski in the 74 have gone around Jeff Mosing, who continues to lead in the gold category, but David Ducote up in a little, that's a Dave Baker, I think, the 56.
21st position.
Yeah, dropped down a little bit. But David Ducote has gone around both Sebastian Landy and the platinum car of John Getz and is closing rapidly on Jeff Mosing in the battle for the lead in the gold category and gold masters. So both classes showing some pretty fierce activity.
That was a nice gentlemanly start. Everybody very well mannered. Now beginning to hot up as we are 12.5 minutes into a timed 45-minute race here at Sebring Live on IMSA Radio, as we're watching battles all the way down through the field. The 6th position at the moment, still the one that is under the most dispute. And I would say, gentlemen, that Lucas Catania and Santiago Creel are just dragging back to the guys ahead of them, Greg, and shortly they'll be a 4-car battle as we have a little bit further back.
And this, looking out on the screen, Jeff Mosing just ahead now of David Gicotti and John Getz, who is a platinum car, and Sebastian Landi in car number 49. That's another Gold Cup car. So this is a battle for the Gold Cup lead. Coming across the start-finish line now, heading into turn 1. The 01 car ahead of number 6. Then the 18 is a platinum car, but behind him the 49, that's another Gold Cup car as well. So a great 3-car battle here for gold honours.
And I would say that Sebastian Landi in the 4th of those cars, the 3rd of the gold class cars, Greg, is slightly frustrated at the moment. He wants to get past the red and white car of John Guts ahead of him and try and get in on the action that's going on further up the road. Doesn't want to lose touch with 1st and 2nd in the gold category. Meanwhile,
a little further up the road, we're back at this one. It's unbelievable. David Williams, he must be getting tired of seeing Andrew Long lunge out, look, and not quite there. I mean, he's doing a masterful job of, sometimes the best defense is a good offense.
Yeah.
You see that guy make the move, just hit your marks. Go in deep, drive as hard as you can. Don't make the mistakes. Oop, couple of cars going around here.
36 is Michael Levitas just turning round. This is a turn number 7 in the DSC car. No, not that DSC. Graham Goodwin can settle down.
I tell you, I don't know what's happened here with Mike Levitas, because he had so many gold wins and obliterated the gold master. There's been contact there.
Oh yeah,
the gold masters championship, and yet today down in 7th, there's the 09. That's, I believe, Oscar Arroyo. No, James Leslie. 89 is Arroyo. Sorry about that. So
well, they were battling for 4th and 5th in the gold category, down in 17th and 18th position when they came to turn 7, and I would suggest, my father was a detective for some years, I may have picked up something. I think they may have come together.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't think magnifying glass.
When you go out
front of one car and the back on the other one. But you were talking about consistently putting your head down. That's exactly what Jesse Lazare is doing here. Set the fastest lap of the race, the last 2 laps in a row. 2:08.191 as he comes across the line. That time, 3/4 of a second quicker than Elliott Skier in 2nd place, who still has Casey Coolman hot on his heels.
Turn 7 spares. Turn7spares.com if you want right-hand HID headlight for a 991.
Well, and I think Elliott may have just learned his first lesson of driving in this series, is those opening laps, and even when Jesse went by him for a lap or 2, he was really throwing the car around, and I watched Coleman behind him, but more importantly Lazare when he got in front of him, just on rails, making sure that car wasn't stepping out or anything like that. And he's kept the tires, Jesse has, underneath that car beautifully, and I think Elliott may have just overcooked him a little bit here.
He's still 7/10 ahead of Casey Coolman, though, so he's held his position and his pace is still good. In fact, last time around was his fastest lap of the race for Elliott Skier, 2:08.9. As we see one of the Kelly Moss cars to drivers. That's the car, of course, that was the 09 that was in trouble at turn 7. He's made his way up to and 7 again is a problem.
Well, you were talking about Sebastian Landi might have been getting a little bit frustrated being stuck behind that platinum car. Well, he may have tried something, and I see fluid coming out of the front, those radiators on the sides there, and if that got clipped, there's going to be some fluid right.
Oh, that just looks painful as he bounces over the curb to the inside. Now he's got out of the way, and there's definitely fluid there, right on the apex of turn number 7. So that battle between John Goetz and Sebastian Landi has ended in an issue for Sebastian. Into the braking area, goes up the inside. Well, in fact, he got past John Goetz, and he was having a look at, I think, David Ducote there.
No, what actually happened was there, he was looking on to pass the number 26 car of Lucas Catania, but he got a little brakes way too. It wasn't. John Goetz, I beg your pardon. Was looking at the inside John Goetz, but left his braking way too late. Was well past him and cannoned into the guy who was sitting in front,
which was David Ducote.
So that was an error of judgment there.
And David Ducote wounded. That was the car we just had the shot of pulling off the track as well. So
broken up that battle, I'm afraid.
Boy, and speaking of breaking up a battle, look what's unfolded here. Oof. That was a big nasty wiggle there by the 15 of Casey Coolman.
Yeah. He's slipped back a bit on that last lap. That car seemed to be getting loose. That number 15 car of Casey Coolman slipped back now in 3rd place from Elliott Skier. And now not too far behind Casey Coolman is his teammate Michael Shine, and also that Mark Motors Racing entry from Canada, Marco Cironi.
Yeah, Cironi's driven a very measured race in the 88 car, and it's still very slippery down at turn number 7. No movement for the Sebastian car. There's the spin.
Coleman.
Yeah.
It is Coolman from third position.
Yeah.
Casey Coolman has gone around on that fluid that was left there by the 49 of Sebastian Landy, and that he's just been caught out. Of course, that happened behind him last lap around, so he wouldn't have had a chance to see that. There are flags out there, and he's just tried to put a little bit too much power on. David Ducote's car a little further round the corner, stranded to the left-hand side. There's almost a puddle there. You can almost see it being thrown up by the slick Yokohama tyres. And as good as these tyres are, Greg, they are slick tyres. They're not meant to move water or fluid or anything that's lying on the track.
And they're very hot. And I am confident, knowing the corner working crew that generally staffs turn 7, that there are surface surface debris, however you want to describe it, flags that are being prominently displayed. And at a certain point, it's up to the driver to decide, am I going to trust them or not? And I think Casey just learned, trust those workers. They're there to help. And they were letting him know. And it looked like he hit that, and everything happened so quickly. He was exactly as he went to throttle is when the rears hit that water. And now let's see. I'm interested here to see what kind of lap Jesse Lazar puts in relative to everybody else, because his last 2 laps, he's been running a half second faster than Skier. It turns a 2:09.6 and actually Skier came right with him this time, actually a couple of tenths quicker. Shine, everybody else so far at 2:10, 2:11. So
Shine, the new third place man.
Yep.
Cironi up into 4th. Koeman sitting at the side of the circuit after that spin, but recovered and then pulled away, and he's down to 5th position ahead of David Williams in 6th. And those are the 3 Masters runners, by the way, 88, 15 and 37, running in 4th, 5th and 6th. That is the battle for the Masters category.
It is. By the way, we're looking right there. That's Jeff Mosing, and now with everything that unfolded behind him, he's got a big gap. Obviously, with Ducote gone and Landy gone, he's got a big margin back to the next gold place car, which is Mark Yano, veteran of the series.
Yeah, good to see Mark. We're up in 2nd place now in Masters in the Gold Cup, and we just saw a glimpse there of Will Hardeman moving to the inside of John Goetz, and for some reason, I don't know what, Will Hardeman, I believe, started at the very back of the pack. In the qualifying, he'd shown up in the 23rd place, but I think he actually started from the back, and he's worked his way all the way up now to 13th place, and he's been turning some pretty good lap times along the way, even though he's been working through traffic. He's the guy we talked about a little earlier on. No experience really prior to 1 year ago. He'd never even been to a race, didn't know anything about racing, but was invited to a charity event at Circuit of the Americas. He's from Austin, Texas, and went out there and got to know a race team there from the guys at Moore Speed, and did some testing. Got into a car, drove it, and the team was pretty impressed. They said, hey, you might have something here. And he's done a lot of testing and a lot of club racing and other events over the winter to get ready for this season.
Good on him.
We had a fun chat. There's David Ducote. He was so quick. Unfortunate to see him taken out. David Moore had a chat with us about Will, and he said he doesn't know why he's fast. He has no experience. And he said, and you have to be very careful because he's smart, but he also, when you say this guy's a coach, listen to him. And in one of the tests where they had a lot of different cars out on the track, he said just go out there, follow the cars around, follow them through the corners, And he said he followed a prototype into a turn, and he said that was our first big discussion with him. This is Marco Cironi here going for a podium spot.
3rd position under dispute at the moment, or in dispute at the moment, as Cironi and Michael Sheen battling it out. Sheen in the 16 car. Just about holds on for the time, but again, guys, the heat is playing a part here. I have no idea what it's like inside the cars, but I can tell you that those Porsches on the Yokohama tyres are sliding around. This is extreme conditions here, and if you abuse your tyres here, you are going to pay big time in the next 22.5 minutes. Exactly halfway through, and Jesse Lazar leads on lap number 11 at the moment by 2.3 seconds.
Yeah, over Elliott Skier, and the gap from Elliott Skier back to Michael Shine in 3rd place, that's grown substantially over the last few laps. It's now about 5 seconds between 2nd and third. And as you say, Marco Cironi, who's had a podium finish here at Sebring before, looking to get another one now, currently in fourth place in that car number 88. He wants third.
Looking right there again at your gold and gold masters leader, Jeff Mosing, who right now is kind of running by himself. That said, Mark Yano, his last couple of laps have been about a half second quicker than Mosing. Problem for Yano is there's 3 platinum cars between himself and Mosing at this stage, so he's going to have to deal with them. One thing in watching what's going on with Mike Shine and Marco Cironi, Marco, I've been watching him. Shine is one of those guys, I call him fast loose. He wheels that car. He's just, and again, these are conditions where you've got to really be on rails and keep, don't overheat those tires because it's slippery enough. And Cironi has just been glass smooth.
The three platinum cars between first and second in the Gold Masters class, and 15 seconds, by the way, as well. And that is probably more important than or as important at least, as the 3 bits of traffic that Mark Yano would have to get through. Jesse Lazare completes another lap and another 8/10 of a second, squeezed out at the head of the field over Skier in second place. Shine and Cironi in third and fourth, battling it out, and Casey Kuhlman settling into some decent laps now as well, but has dropped 8 seconds away from that battle for third place.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Did you see Mike Shine coming through one, back into that car, stepping out? Cironi just very smooth.
Through the heat haze, there's someone being off at the start of the back straight, and as the heat haze clears, we can see that it is...
Car number 19.
Thank you, Jeremy.
That is Will Hardeman. We were talking about him a few minutes ago. The guy with very, very little experience. Looks like he made a bit of an off-course excursion there.
Right, hit nothing, no harm, no foul.
Absolutely.
Got back on without troubling anyone else's race as well, which is also something that you need to learn. And Clarks, of course, never worry about. It's interesting. They're talking to a couple of Clarks, of course, over the winter about driving standards, and they say, listen, everybody falls off. We have no issue with people making mistakes, but we expect them to rejoin in a sensible manner and obey the flag signals. So no problems there for the relatively inexperienced driver coming back on. Didn't spoil anybody else's race, and that is part of motor racing, as Jesse Lazare continues to lead the motor race with just under 20 minutes to run.
Yeah, he let Elliott Skier get to about 2 seconds and then dropped the hammer, and last lap a half second quicker, this lap 0.2 more, and he's up to 2.7.
Yeah, and it's interesting that, isn't it? Because the times are coming down again now. Earlier on in the race, Jesse Lazare set the fastest lap of the race at a 2 minutes 8.1. And then when we saw that fluid laid down there at turn 7, times dropped down into the 9s. And now last time around, Jesse Lazare 2 minutes 8.3. So the track is improving as that fluid down in turn 7 has been dissipated by the cars running over us.
Also, I think what you're getting as well, if you've had a heat cycle on the Yokohamas and they stabilise in the middle of the race, if you've looked after them, you'll get a pretty good run to the end. If you haven't, you could struggle to the tune of maybe 1.5 seconds a lap round a circuit that's 3 3/4 miles around, like here at Sebring. Back to this battle for third position, which continues to rage on. Good to see a battle for the last step on the podium.
Yeah, Shine and Cironi, they are after it here. It's great fun. And I was going to mention that really points out that little bit of water. You saw some of the guys that weren't getting sideways. They were going through it. That's a second.
Yeah.
That's a second and a half that you don't get. I mean, that's how easily these lap times are affected. So when you see these guys that are out there just running those laps within tenths, within hundreds of each other all the time, it's really remarkable just what they are doing. We were talking at the Rolex 24 earlier when we watched the car lock up a little bit. We were talking about the limit. Well, the good drivers, the gift is they live at the limit. They don't exceed it much. They live at it. That's the special stuff.
That's their speed. That's their pace.
Yep.
Yeah. Can't disagree with that. Third place then still being contested.
See what I mean about Shine? He just throws that car around, and Cironi is keeping those Yokohamas right dead center underneath that car all the time. He's going to have a very strong car in the last quarter or third of this race.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, isn't it, to watch that. Somebody else who I think must have made a mistake last time, it cost him about 15 seconds, was Santiago Creel, the Mexican car number 60. He was on the tail of that 4-car battle for 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. and he's dropped back now. He's still in 10th place, so it's only cost him a couple of positions, well, actually one position to Wild Bill Belichewski, but Santiago Creel now has got a lot of work to do to catch up to that train of cars again.
That's first, there's second, there's the battle for third, so the margin, basically the length of the Almond Straight from first to fourth at this stage. And again, boy, it's watching Chironi closes right up on the back of Shine, but he realizes I'm not there and I'm not going to do anything silly here. And, you know, we're talking about taking care of your tires in this race. You got to take care of the cars because you got to do this again tomorrow.
What's interesting, though, what you're saying about playing fast and loose effectively, and you're right to the apex, but there's nothing wrong with how Shiny's getting off the corner because he pulls out again. Certainly, it would look to me as though the white Porsche of Marco Chirone is a little better under braking, and he seems a little more controlled to the apex, to the centre of the corner, but centre out. I don't know what Shiny's doing, but he's getting on the right-hand pedal nice and early and punching his Porsche out of those corners.
Yeah, he is, and you can see that aggression on the exits. Boy, Andrew Long finally got around David Williams. There he is. Andrew now has moved up into the 6th spot. Williams, right there now, the 37, is now under huge attack by the young Lucas Catania for NGT Motorsport in that orange and white number 26. And here he comes, and
Thought
here
about
he goes.
Thought about it, didn't he? Swung across to the right and just thought, I'm not there, but he's beginning to put the pressure on. And just slid a little wide there coming out of turn 7, dropped the left-hand Yokohamas onto the dirt.
And we do see there's that car parked at the apex there. Number 49 was involved in incident early on. We haven't seen whether there's a yellow flag.
That's a very good point.
On that corner. From the camera angles, it's tough to see, but that might be...
I have to think there is.
Yes.
It would be my call, because if you pull that flag and then somebody tries to move, somebody touches, they're going right into that parked car.
I agree, and maybe that's why we saw the dodge back straight away, that flag is still there.
It's a shame, because that's a huge overtaking area.
There you go. Read my mind. 2 minds, 1 thought. Well, almost 2 minds. 15 minutes.
Maybe together 1 mind.
Okay,
but,
right, okay.
But I have to tell you, David Williams has picked up his game from... It's really a joy to watch what he has done. He has just elevated himself, and his performance here, it's spectacular, and I'm so happy and proud of him. He's really going after it right now. And, you know, I mean, he's dealing with some pretty quick people around him here. There was another look. Mosing still comfortably leading in gold and gold masters.
Easy to think of him as gold with the car that colour mainly, isn't it? In that bright yellow. Sitting just outside. No, he's back into 10th, in fact, after the trials and tribulations of everyone ahead of him. And he's actually doing some very decent lap times indeed. His best lap is a 10.5. He's now lapping at 11.5 as the race continues. So what's his gap to the rest of the field in his category? It is still Marciano who is there, and he's still about 13-14 seconds. So Mark has closed down maybe 1.6, 1.7 seconds, but not very much more than that. And with time gradually running out, although still 14 minutes to go, we have Jesse Lazaro leading it from Skier in second place, who is now in elegant isolation in that red and white Porsche, with some 3 seconds between himself and the leader. Again, he stabilised that lead. Seems to hold on for a couple of laps, and then Lazar just pushes on and squeezes out a 10th here. But now he's got the better part of 6.5 seconds on the chasing pack.
He has, yeah. The gaps between the first and second place cars and the second and third have been fairly constant over the last 3 or 4 laps. About 3 seconds between first and second, and about 6.5 between second and third. You were just talking about the gold category. Mark Yarno, they're running in an excellent second place. Okay, he's helped by a couple of guys taking themselves out ahead of him. That's all part of this game. But Mark's best finish thus far, I believe, in the gold cars is a third place finish. A couple of third place finishes last year, and I saw him yesterday at Marion Champlain's place. As you say, that's the place to go to meet anybody in this paddock. And Mark was explaining some of the things he was doing to Marion about his charitable assistance towards veterans, fellow former Marines like himself. And we were saying, well, you've got to go out and get yourself a podium this weekend to celebrate. So yeah, that's my goal for the weekend. And right now, Mark Yarno in that car number 22 in second place in gold category.
Still, this battle for third place is where the action is on the circuit, just across the start-finish line to start their 16th lap. And Shine and Chirone still, well, there's a little bit of daylight beginning to open up, but it's by no means everything okay, and certainly not comfortable. Now we've got a slow car on the Ullman straight, which I would think looks like there may be a tyre issue.
Yeah, the way it's moving.
Left rear?
One of the
left rear.
One of the Wright Motorsports cars.
Skier?
Is it Santiago Creel?
That's
Perhaps,
Creel,
I think.
the 60. Yeah, boy, that had me going for. Whoa, guys, careful.
There's Mark Yarno.
Yeah, and by the way, we've been following that great battle for third in the overall and platinum category. We have a great battle for the final podium spot in gold shaping up too. Ooh, that was close, wasn't it?
Mark Yarno tried to go round the outside in turn, and the exit of turn 17 of who's that ahead of him? It is Jay Patel, yeah, in that Kelly Moss Motorsports car, and found the wall is really quite close there on the outside of
There's Creel.
that corner. Creel's in the.
He's had an eventful
in the lane.
Boy, I was talking about, hopefully we'll get some shots of it. Third in the gold category, 15th overall, the 24 of Joe Catania, Lucas Catania's dad, and Wayne Ducote, David Ducote's dad, in the 70. They are now separated by 0.4 of a second in their battle, so it's very, very close in what these guys are doing here in this battle for third in the Gold Cup too. So hopefully we'll get some shots of the 24 and the 70 at some point, because that may be a pretty good scrap too, just like the one that's in the back of the frame right now. I'm
very impressed that Elliott Skier has kept Jesse Lazare in sight. Now, Jesse will say that he's controlled it from the front, and I'm sure he has done. 2:08.9 for both of them last time around, as Jeremy said. The times are coming back in, and the guys at the head of the field are keeping the pace up. There was nobody else on the track last time around who was under a 9, and this time it's 0.2 grabbed back by Skier to Jesse Lazare. 2:08.8 for the leader, 2:08.6 for second place. Shine and Chirone go through in a 9.4 and a 9.3, so pretty much no difference between those two, and they're now 10 seconds and more away from the leader.
Very impressed by Elliott, because he has settled in, and I think he is now going to school a little bit on Jesse. And I think, think about it. It's his first start. Jesse, yes, he's young, but he's got a full season of racing. Behind him is Mike Shine, who's driven 3 seasons. Chirone, who's driven a multiple season. Casey Coleman, and Elliott is in front of them. He is going to, if everything continues here, get a second in his first ever race in this type of car, stepping up from the MX-5s. That's a big step. And he's going to school. He's learning now, how do I race these? I've got speed. Now I need to learn how to race them.
You're absolutely right. He is learning, because he's just said his fastest lap of the race. 35 minutes into this 45-minute race, 2:08.637 last time around for Elliott Skier. That his is his best. And he is just closing just a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's on another quick lap, Jeremy. He's leaning on that car in a way that we haven't seen him in the last few laps. Maybe he's just going to try and put a bit of pressure on Lazare, find out what Lazare has got left in the tank in the last 9 minutes as we head into the last 9 minutes. Right now, it's the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge USA by Yokohama, live on IMSA Radio from Sebring. And well, there's plenty of racing all over this circuit, Greg.
This is Wayne Ducote now, and in the 70, and he's come right up. This is that battle we're talking about here, the 24 and the 70. This is for the final podium spot in the gold category.
Mistake.
And it looked like a little mistake by Catania. Yeah, and what about the flags? Maybe that might be something here. Wayne may have not realized that's
Catania's slowed right down.
Yeah.
Slowed right down. I think he's maybe missed a gear or something there.
He certainly went in way too deep into that corner and had to get right out of the throttle to cost himself an awful lot of momentum going into the hairpin.
I wonder if Greg's got that spot on, Jeremy. There was that turn7spares.com headlight fixture there, which is a not insubstantial piece of equipment, and if he clobbered that by going wide, that would have been a fairly big clonk, and he might have been slightly worried. Maybe he dropped a wheel off and done some suspension damage, just giving himself a moment to see if the car was still okay. Meantime, at the head of that category, there is the 0-1 going through, Jeff Mosing in 10th position, and then looking back down through the field as they come down towards turn Number 17 will be calling it sunset at the weekend because guess what?
It does. That's John Getz and Oscar Arroyo in their own little battle for, well, essentially the 10th spot in the platinum category. These two guys having a good little dust up, and that's one of the great things. We've talked about this before. Even if it isn't for the lead, two drivers eventually will find somebody that they're racing with at the same pace, and even if it's for 10th, 15th, 30th, they are having a superb battle out there, and it's going to be interesting. By the way, Skier trimmed another 10th off of Lazar with 7 minutes exactly to go. So I mean, Lazar might well be just driving the margin a little bit, but I watched him the last 2 laps ago when they were going through that 10, 11, 12 complex through Cunningham and Collier, and Lazar's car seemed to be sliding a lot more than it had earlier. So I mean, he's kept that pace up, and well, here they are.
Yeah, his last 3 laps for our race leader Jesse Lazare, we've been within a tenth of a second. In fact, 5 of the last 6 have been within a tenth of a second. So that's what you need at this stage in the game.
Yeah. And if he's going to progress from this single manufacturer, single make cup series with Porsche, and if he's going to go on and catch someone's eye in endurance racing, the consistency of his lap times will be what they will look at. You talk to any of the guys from Le Mans through the Tudor United Sports Car Series into the European Series, any of those, they all talk now, yeah, okay, it's nice to be fastest, it's nice to do the fastest time. Qualifying, it's important. They all talk about average lap times over a stint, over 2 stints, over all the time that they're in a car, and that is what makes careers. If you can keep that average lap time to be consistent but quick, it's no good if it's consistently slow. That's what I would be doing. But if you are consistent and quick, then you are going to catch people's eyes, and you've got half a chance of a job.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, erratic doesn't get you too far.
No.
Exactly. Let's see here now. Mosing, as we've talked about, has that big margin. I'm wondering now if Catania and Ducati, there's about 3 seconds between them now after that little exchange. I'm intrigued as to, haven't heard anything from race control at this point about whether that was a pass under yellow. And part of it might be, they will have looked at that certainly, and seeing that he had run deep, and if the pass happened past that car, then it's okay.
Yeah.
So that may have been why he was able to get through and not be caught out by anything related to official concerns.
Well, and also I have to say I have been looking at the shot as they're coming out of 5 through 6 and down towards 7, and it may be that those yellows have been withdrawn. And look at that drifting on the very, very ragged edge of adhesion, just a little bit of opposite lock, steering lock put in there to control the slide by Jesse Lazare as he comes onto the back straight for his 19th time, and with 4.5 minutes to go, that's going to be probably 2, possibly 3 laps, depending on how hard he's got to push at the end of this one through the final corner. And those 2 very, very big undulations there, they really unsettle the car across the stripe. No sign of the white flag this time,
but I think it will be next time. Just over 4 minutes to go now. We're doing laps of 2 minutes 8, so good call there, John, and I reckon it'll be white flag next time around. Here is this battle for 3rd place coming across the line into turn 1 again. Marco Cironi kind of feints to the inside. That wasn't an attempt to take the lead, it was an attempt to try and distract Michael Shine, and maybe he's done that because Shine runs wide on the exit and then has to defend his line into turn 3.
And that's going to cost him a little bit of a momentum. But again, he punches out of these corners so very well. Not sure what the suspension differences are or the setup differences between the 2 cars. There's not an awful lot you can do with these tyre pressures. A little bit of suspension in terms of the camber angles, but not much more that you can do. Down into the heavy braking area, turn 7, which is the hairpin. And there are no yellow flags out at that point. So we can definitely say that now. And this is the battle for the 3rd step on the podium. Shine in the red and white Porsche, the 16 car from Cironi. Now, Cironi will be planning and scheming. He knows he's probably only got maybe 4.5, 5 miles, a lap and a half of this circuit to make this stick. At the head of the field, Lazare knows that Jesse Lazare knows that he's got, the same amount, maybe a little less now, to keep it going. And Elliott Skier has pushed him, and I think he's pushed him pretty hard here.
But then in that last lap, Lazar turned one that was 3/10 quicker than Skier, ballooned it right back up again. And I do want to, into turn 3, that's a corner you can defend incredibly aggressively in and get right in the middle of the track and defend, because if you exit that turn, there's nowhere for the guy to make a counter move because of that very serpentine 3-4-5. If you can defend into it, you're going to survive out of it. Other corners you defend like that, the guy just opens up, comes down underneath you. But 3, you can make that kind of very, very aggressive defense.
And that last lap around now, as Jesse Lazare comes towards what we believe might well be the white flag. It wasn't that Jesse Lazare went quicker on that last lap. There is the white flag waved, so it is just 1 lap to go. It wasn't that Jesse was any quicker on the last lap. It was just that Elliott was a little bit slower. Once again here, Jesse Lazare 2 more laps, very consistent there, 2 minutes 08.8. Both of the last 2 laps almost identical to the hundredth of seconds.
And I think Skier did try a little bit in the last 4 or 5 minutes and found out, where his car was on the limit. Give him, props for trying. He closed that down. Now here is the battle, gentlemen, with just on about 3 miles to go for these guys. And Michael Shine in the red and white 16 holds off this, what has been pretty much a race-long battle between himself and Chirone. Jesse Lazare is finishing up a almost picture-perfect race, and he's got traffic ahead of him, but I think he'll be able to manage that with almost 4 seconds in the bank. In the gold category, Jeff Mosing, gold and Masters in the gold, sitting right in the top 10 at 10. That's not a bad afternoon's work for him, Greg.
No, not at all, and he has been superb. I mean, we've seen him in the Continental Tire Series where he has, been in poles, and he would have been a co-champion last year were it not for some back spasm in an early round of the championship. He's a very good driver, there's no question, and just chooses to race in this gold category. So Jeff certainly is going to be a factor. I'm keeping an eye out here on this scenario here, and Yano. He's got 10 seconds back to Ducati, so that one now has pretty much settled the top 3 in gold, and they're all Masters drivers, so that makes gold Masters.
Jeff Mosing, he won the gold class 3 times last year. His best overall finish was an 11th, currently running 10th overall right now.
A lot of traffic in front of Jesse Lazare right now.
Hits it in a nice place, though, Greg, doesn't he? Coming down the back straight.
When you catch it.
I don't think he's even going to try and go by the 50... the 51 car of John Crosby, I think it is.
Yep.
So he can just lift off a little bit. He's managed the gap. He had 4 seconds or thereabouts. He came across the line. Chalk this one up. Here comes Jesse Lazare to take the first round of the 2015 Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge, USA by Yokohama. That is a very mature drive for him and for Elliott Skier in second place. Held the lead early on, gave it up to Jesse. Michael Shine holds on just from Marco Chirone for 3rd and 4th position. 21, 14 and 16 on the podium. And then we're waiting a little while for Casey Kilman to bring the rest of the guys in. We'll say goodbye to Greg because he has